Welcome to the next level. All of you are here wondering who the hell is the mystery encoder, and you're about to find out because the rumors have it that you might think it's this jackhole. Who the hell still thinks the mystery encoder is me? Is there anybody else in here who's been wondering who the hell this is? But what's going on, everybody? This is B from Kongs Are Us. And I'm here with an episode of The Next Level. This is my weekly podcast show. If you're here for the first time, I do weekly shows where I bring on next level guests about things, arcades, community members, people that do next level shit. And there is nothing more next level than the last month or so of seeing the things we can do on our Arcade1Up Pinball machines. This has breathed new life into these machines, which have been fun
to have, you know, when I first got them. This was my first foray into virtual pinball, was this machine, and I gutted it. The minute I got this, I put a PC in it. I never looked back at the original PCB. In fact, secret story, I, in my review video, didn't even have the stock PCB in there. I was running the PC version of it in my review video that I did like a couple weeks later. So, man, people are excited about this mod, and Mystery Encoder has been taking the pinball world by storm, and I've had the pleasure of at least being an end user tester. No, it's not me. People that thought it was going to be me or Mrs. Kongs or us, you know, shooting the shit at the stream. No, I'm bringing you the Mystery Coder, the Mystery Encoder. He keeps evolving from the Mystery Coder to the Mystery Encoder to maybe the Mystery Hacker. Are you guys ready to see who the Mystery Hacker is? Are you guys ready? You tell me if you guys recognize this background first image. Does this look familiar to anybody? Does that look familiar to anybody in the chat? He's now evolved into the Mystery Hacker.
What up,
Who is this fool?
What up, bitches? Y'all better recognize. Thanks for hanging out with us. Yeah, Kong, fuck you. Suck a dick, you and your woman. Yeah,
you have the biggest potty mouth in the fucking world, Mystery Hacker Encoder.
Yo,
like,
that's because I eat your mom's ass, bro, so it can't help but just taste like shit. And then it comes back out in hot lava, and I lay it down, bitch.
Where do you get this potty mouth from? Where does all this anger come from? You are one of the angriest dudes I've ever seen in written form.
Because I'm sitting here and I play Warzone all day. And I get angry because I'm like a white dude who just programs. And we are all angry. So fuck you. And like I said, fuck Eric Wang. He can suck my wang. And fuck that motherfucker from Chula Vista. He can suck my whole asshole. Yeah, fuck them all.
Are you calling out everybody in your open pace? The F, you have to know, by the way, if you get an FU from Mystery Hacker, it means that you love them, right?
That's right. I'll give one man.
This man wants to know who you are, man. Who are you? Are you going to show us who you are?
Are you all ready? Are you all ready? All right, here we go.
What the hell is going on here?
Holy shit. Oh, Kong, I'm sorry. How you doing, man? Hold on, let me fix something. Oh my goodness.
I thought it was Dubs with the background and everything. Who the hell is in your office?
Oh, nah, man, sorry. I just want to give a quick shout out, you know. How you doing, my man? How you been?
Oh, what's going on, man? You are everywhere. You're on every fucking stream nowadays, and I'm using a potty mouth now because the Mystery Encoder has brought it out of me. I normally don't say F-bombs on my show, but you've brought it out of me. If there was somebody who could be the Mystery Encoder, come on, man. Like, Rev and how much he cusses, this looks exactly like something that you would say. Is it not? Are you the Mystery Encoder? Is this all your good work?
You know what? I'll tell you this. It's not. It's not. But I think I know who it is.
Do you?
I think I do. I think I do. And I think I know for a fact. And let's be real here, because everybody's here. You got a lot of people on Kong's show right now understanding that Kong promised a hacker. He promised the Mystery Encoder. This dude's nuts are so big. They absolutely touch the water when he takes a shit. I'm telling you. But he's going to surprise you. I promise you, Kong is going to drop heat straight to the street tonight when you guys actually find out who this person is.
And we might not actually reveal who ultimately is, because Mystery Encoder has been able to do this under the anonymity of, doing the good work and allowing us to support the companies that we want to support, buying the Zen pinball tables, putting them on Arcade1Up. But Rev, we just wanted to shout you out. You've been everywhere in the arcade community. I have no idea. You were on stream with John D yesterday. You're back in your house. I have no idea where the hell you are. Do you have a fucking time machine? Like, how are you getting from place to place all over the place? I see you on every damn stream now.
You got to work hard, baby. You know what? It's like I said on the stream yesterday, it's all about, when you find people who is a hustler, when you find people who work hard, those are the people that you surround yourself with. And, it's going to be a long road. It's interesting. So I'm having a lot of fun. There's a lot of attention, and I'm just taking it in, being humble as I can right now, and taking opportunities to sit with guys like you and really enjoy the day.
Absolutely. So for folks that don't know who you are and they're joining us for the first time, tell them who RevV is and put your quarters on the glasses.
Thank you, man. So RevV is me. I'm just a play caller with a whole lot of spice and flair. I throw a little bit of panache in the way I like to call matches for Street Fighter games. You can do Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat if you want to hit a button to block. We can do that too. That's okay. Shout out to Zohar. I know you're out there. But
don't worry, for folks that are waiting, by the way, we do have more to the show. It's not just me promoting Rev.
I promise.
This guy, like John D's like, I'm out. That could have been it. There could be more, but
I just shout out to my man, John. So no, what we're looking at is Put Your Quarters on the Glass is a location where you're going to find my content. So my content's going to be Friday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern. You'll see Put Your Quarters on the Glass, the show where you're going to see the retro fight game community bringing you the best of the shot calling and tournament playing. And actually this Sunday, for those of you out there, there is a tournament that is still got 2 days, 3 days at most for signups left. 2.5
quick
days.
plug so we can get it going.
Yeah, I know. Listen, guys, this is real money here. So we actually have official tournament sponsorship. Shout outs to Arcade1Up, shout outs to Daystar's Signs and Designs, shout out to Kong's giant banner over there with the monkey in the corner, and also shout outs to my man Fighters Evo. My man Fighters Evo, this is going to be the last tournament that we host at Fighters Evo for a while, but shout outs to Blast. I hope he's doing well. But what we're looking at, guys, for first place is Kong. If you don't mind, put that up, guys, because this is real money in your hand. This is $500 cash for first place, as well as an Arcade 4-player, brand new Arcade1Up Simpsons cabinet. I personally got to look at that thing and play with it yesterday, and it is as crisp as a brand new $100 bill out the mint's ass crack. It is beautiful. And then second place, guys, you're looking at $350 US dollars plus a Marvel Superheroes countercade. Now this countercade is actually really, really badass because it has X-Men, Street Fighter, and Marvel Capcom all on this one little tiny cade. And there's a lot of upgrade options. Of course, you have the PCB you could strip out if you want to throw it on a big screen. This is a badass toy. And then speaking of toys, we're going to talk about the third place, which I am clearly misunderstood here. For some reason, the third place is the most sought after prize along with the cash at first.
Because it's not out yet. You can't order the baby cade yet. This is the only way to get a baby cade at this point, I think.
Apparently, this is the only way to get a goddamn baby cade. So what the third place is getting is $150 US dollars. And when Arcade1Up ships you, you will be getting a Paw Patrol baby cade direct to your house. I mean, honestly, guys, this is hilarious. So we're going to have some awesome prizes. We're going to have some guest hosts coming in. We got some really good people coming out. It's going to be a long day. We got 20 people signed up right now. The prizes are out there and it's ripe for the picking. So please come on through and check us out this Sunday at Put Your Quarters on the Glass.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Rev. So without further ado, hang out for a second. I want you to say hello to Mr. Encoder. So for folks that have been waiting, again, 12 minutes into the stream, we did a big troll job, but Rev was here. I think you make a fun pseudo Mr. Encoder, but this guy right here, the one, the only Mystery Encoder is here live now in the chat for the first time. You have 115 people watching Mystery Encoder. You are muted right now. Are you going to say hello and introduce to yourself to the people? Who are you?
Say fuck you and leave.
What was that? Are you a little fucking rat? Like what was that? Say it again.
I said I'm just gonna say fuck you and leave.
What's with the Aaron voice?
I know that's his real voice. He's trying to do his best Rev impersonation. I mean,
he talks shit like a champ.
Yeah,
this dude talks shit like a champ. For real.
Mr. Encoder, how are you, man? How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm a little bit concerned that John D's got the FBI on the way to my house right now.
John D was listening in the chat, but you called him out several times saying that you were working for him and that you weren't going to get fired. So this could have, people thought this was an inside job. Like, let's go back several weeks ago to the beginning, Mr. Encoder. So when this originally happened, people thought that, hey, this was Arcade1Up putting this out from somebody to do more sales for their pinball tables. Like, there's all these rumors about like how this even happened. Mr. Encoder, like, where did this start from? Where was the origin of this? I'm going to put up your original Oben paste and show people what the original message you had out there for everybody.
Oh, boy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. me pull that up right now while you go ahead and give us the story. What was the inspiration for this?
There wasn't any, man. I was bored. It was there. I had a pinball machine, and I
The
wanted to
fucking
do more
title,
without
dude.
trying to take it apart.
The title alone is just brutal.
You were calling out so many people from the get-go. You're like, I hate everyone modding these tables. You can all suck. You're all a bunch of wannabe fucking YouTubers who knock your shit off and couldn't hack your way out of a fucking paper bag to do this shit to look cool. And and then when I saw it, I took it to heart because you started calling out other people, and I didn't get a mention in the first one.
Shout out. Code Always Wins is legit, bro. I love my man. Code Always Wins. He's legit. He's legit. I got to give him credit, man.
No, it was a rant pissed off at someone that was saying crap somewhere in the middle of the night while releasing something that wasn't even ready for other people to use.
Y'all just it's a unique little world when you get into that programming world. Like it's like everyone wants to be Neo from the Matrix, right? They all dodge bullets and shit. It's crazy.
Yeah. So this happened because originally, for folks that don't know, Arcade1Up released 3 different versions of a pinball patch. Originally, we knew that Attack from Mars was going to come because they had a broken table. That was the one that was most needed. These pinball firmwares came out for also Star Wars and Marvel, which were definitely a little bit more optimization to, I think the screen resolution looked a little bit brighter. Some people were saying they fixed some of the haptics. And they added like an exit screen that from what I can see, but that was the crux of it. But tell us the history of this mod. Like I think this didn't just happen overnight.
No, yeah. So over close to a year ago now is when these were released, right? I mean, a few months after that, I already had access to the PCB and was playing with it. And I do own all 3 of the different pinball tables and wanted all 3 of them were on one so that I could kind of move the other somewhere else and not have them in the room, right? Everybody has lack of space, and when you own all 3, why not put all 3 on one?
Yeah.
And so you start investigating the PC, you get access to it, you realize that if you put all 3 on there, it runs. And it's like, okay, cool, but there's no reason to release it. I don't want to give people all these APKs. I don't want to give people this stuff. I don't, like, I've said it multiple times that I don't endorse piracy necessarily, but at the point where when Arcade1Up released the firmware images, it was easy to say that somebody was going to take those firmwares and combine them together. They weren't signed, they weren't encrypted. You could pretty much modify one, put everything in one, and release it. So why not just release what you already have that does it at that point, knowing that the community is already going to do it? I mean,
yeah. So you were able to pull your own APKs and do this beforehand, but was it because those firmwares were now made publicly available that you felt it was okay to, somewhat release the tool to do it? And it was a rudimentary tool in its first flight.
Right. So when that tool was first created, it only had the ability to dump the tables with the assumption that if I was going to release it, you had to own it to dump it or have one of your friends do it. You weren't like, I wasn't going to distribute any of the APKs or images or anything like that. So the idea was, unless you had the table, you weren't going to get the other APKs you needed to put them on your table.
Yeah, right.
So how did people get the? I mean, obviously, where there's a will, there's a way. But who was the person to release the hack then? Because all you did was create a tool. Then that's fine. The hammer can do a lot of things.
The deal, right? Is okay. So there's more to it than just a tool, and that's something that I don't think is fully understood, which is the idea that the work that goes into hacking something like this or even developing for this kind of embedded system is not easy necessarily. Like when you look at embedded systems like this, they have a system on chip, and that system on chip has its own, for this it's an eMMC, the other ones have NAND. NAND, for instance, programming for an AND is like rocket science. Nobody likes doing it. And half of the Arcade1Up PCBs have NANDs on them. But the idea is that basically there's a lot of work that went into just getting a custom version of Linux booting on this in order to enable that tool to do what it does on the computer.
Sure.
So that was the first step. And that could have went 2 ways, right? You run your own Linux system, you run your own operating system, and you try to do a mod through there, or you... I'm reading the chat at the same time as I talk. I'm not
so fast. You don't. You can't.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But I just want to I know there's a lot of work that went into it, and you're definitely super technical. And so as I'm kind of running the show, I have a lot of questions. But this is a chat from somebody I do want you to read. And it says, I've been in this arcade hobby for over 20 years, and the last month has been the most fun I've had in years. Thanks to you, Mystery Encoder. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and a big fuck you. But like, so reading that, because you've seen people really take off with this, and some people have taken advantage. Like, how does Chris read and reading this comment like make you feel?
Yeah, no, man, it feels great. The whole reason any of us do stuff like this is for other people to get the same joy that we do out of it, even if they don't understand it in the same technical detail, right? Like, there was a guy that I called out specifically in the last thing that was Layered, I think his name is. I don't know how to say his name properly.
Yeah,
but
Layered Craig.
I mean, him acting like a kid while he booted his pinball for the first time after installing his launcher and stuff it's amazing, right? And that's the feeling that you get when you first program all of this and it works.
Sure.
Right? Like, you click that button, you're hoping it works, you've been working on it for months, days, weeks, years, whatever, and then you see something pop up, and it could be as simple as a text box that says "Hello World," and you're like, "Holy crap, I did it!"
Did you go in with? I'm sorry, Kong. Did you go in with the mindset that you wanted to create this tool that would then open up for anybody else and everybody else, or did you go in with the tool like, "Hey, this will be for me and my friend only"?
Well, no, I mean, it was for me to begin with, right? That's what I was saying. Like, the idea wasn't even to release it, but it was, if I did release it, how do I do this legitimately to the point where it doesn't harm Arcade1Up, or it doesn't do something to them that isn't going to otherwise be done, which is why I'm saying that the 3 firmwares getting released just opened other people doing it, and at that point, it's like, it's going to happen either way, so you might as well just release the tool you created to do it so people are able to, you know?
And I think
otherwise...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, it kind of caught fire. Like, the version 1 that came out, I remember posting just my showcase video of like, hey, this is possible. And from a YouTube analytics standpoint, that was the closest thing I've had to a viral video on my Retro Home Arcade channel. There was like 5,000 views in a matter of hours of people wanting this. And so the audience was there. There's 147 people watching this stream to you know, appreciate the work that you did. And I think that drove you, because not only did you release a version 1, I think like 3 days later, you came around with this FU round 2 so fucking fast. Like, dude. And I don't know what was driving you. Like, in 2 days, you already made another version of your tool because people were having issues with the first one. So talk about the evolution. How did FU round 2 come about? And thank you for the fuck you right at the top. I felt really honored that I was your top fuck you.
I mean, yeah, man, it's just an obsession at that point, right? Like, you start working on it, and then you get disappointed by the fact that it's not working for everyone. And so you keep working on it, and you try to make it better, and just continue down that path, and that's where we ended up with V3. And the fuck yous is just funny to me, especially after the reaction to the first ones, right? Like,
and I love your rebuttal to the code always wins too. You guys had this like little mini thing going back and forth.
Dude, it's a keyboard cock session measuring right there. Like, I don't understand anything that these two are talking about. They're next level. Like, they're like mutants from, you know, another world. It's crazy. Let me ask you, man, was the driving factor of the fuck yous because of the videos that were made and the reactions from the community, or did you find that a lot of people were supportive and you just threw them on blast to just get attention? What was the purpose of it?
It's stuff that people say on Facebook or whatever else. Okay. There was reasons to call people out or just screw with them. Keo Deacon, whatever you want to call him, his reaction to the first one was extremely funny. Which is why I continued to troll him and call him Investigator Deacon. And then, you know, even John D started making comments about like, oh, this post is going to be gone in 5 seconds anyways. And the Facebook
he's tracking you. He says he needs 5 minutes. That's all he needs. So
yeah, he's going to go track a bunker in Russia and have fun.
But your guy Laird is here, by the way. So Laird, again, another one of those comments, feeling like a kid with my friends in real life and now friends in this community. Thank you, Mystery Encoder, for all that fun. So I think, again, you have a lot of thanks for people that are coming here. But I think you became more legendary because of these open paste and just the way you showed your endearments to not only the arcade community, but the YouTube community. There was like nobody that was like, that could escape your trollingness. Like, you found everybody that was like using your mod for evil and would call them out and like put them on blast. So tell us a little bit about like your thought process for that, just because it shows that you are part of the community.
Yeah, I'm active in the community. I mean, I sit behind and watch and look at what people are doing, and I don't know. I don't, other than that, I don't endorse people doing things like selling cabinets with all of it on there. The whole idea, right, of basically John D's last stream where he said this stuff was more expensive. I understand that. And I agree with what he was saying about it being more expensive. And in fact, I feel like he almost indirectly approved of this in a way that he said, if it's not hurting the licensors, it's not a major deal necessarily.
Check out the chat, man.
He says I need to hire the guy to encrypt this shit. So
yeah. And so it's not like I agree with John D on a lot of this stuff, and I don't want to see licensors or other people getting pissed off about it, right? I mean, the only reason we're allowed to do this stuff or continue to do this stuff in terms of laws or anything else or get exemptions for these things is because it's not promoting piracy or because it's not enabling piracy, right? Like in this case, there's
how do you avoid the bear share or the Napster issue, right? Like those tools that enabled you to share illegal software that courts deemed illegal, right? Like how do you avoid any kind of liability for creating the tool?
Legal, but it comes down to what the tool directly enables. If the tool is only there to enable piracy, then that's all it does. However, when the tool enables something like installing Zen Pinball and then says, go buy the tables, where's the piracy there?
Right.
Where is their licensor getting hurt? I mean, people may not be happy about, the fact that there's access to those other tables on there now, which in V4 I might even disable the buttons to download the APKs. If people want them, they can find them themselves, because a lot of people have started calling me a hypocrite about that and things like that. But like I said, once they were released, they were out there and they're being distributed either way. It's not anything that I'm enabling. That's not already happening.
No, you just, right. I get it. Yeah. You created the hammer. It could be used to build a house or it could be used to kill somebody.
Right. So I made a joke to one of the other people that's not in here yet earlier about a libtard saying that, like, it's like somebody... It's like somebody saying, like, oh, you allowed me to buy a gun, so I murdered somebody with it, so therefore guns are bad.
Are you from Silicon Valley or Orange County? It's one or the other.
It doesn't matter.
I don't know. But hey, just really quickly, I had a super chat in here. Thank you so much, Overthink Gaming, saying Zohar is God tier. I don't even know where Zohar is in the chat, but it's not him. But
I called him out so many times, too. I tried to get Zohar's attention.
Did you? That's too funny. I don't think he cares about pinball. He's only about that big blue and anything else.
I don't give a shit if they care about pinball or not.
So here, I got one for you, Mystery Encoder. Do you play Marvel superheroes?
I played a lot of MVC2.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. How about MVC1?
No.
Oh.
I don't own a lot of other Arcade1Up products in a complete form, we'll say.
Fair enough. Fair enough. A PCB works. Let's be real, right? Like, let's be real, dude. My man, you'd love them. The code always wins. Put it into you put it into a box, and you can carry that shit anywhere and play. Right? It's amazing. You guys are geniuses. I love it.
All right, so let's. So you had alluded that this became a labor of love because I saw you continue from V2 to most recently. I mean, from this, it was like a 3-week hiatus, almost 4 weeks, almost like a month, and then this came around, like this FU's round 3. Yeah, John D has officially fired me.
This was playing around with the idea that everybody said that I had worked for Arcade1Up, or that I worked with in Zen, or I don't know. People had these crazy ideas in their mind that I worked for all these places, or that I was Kong, or I guess now they believe that I'm Rev. Like,
no, dude, you're way too smart for me.
So, it was mostly just that whole 3 weeks to a month was pretty much working on this new update, getting the launcher working, things like that. There was part of the reason why the initial tool didn't release with anything like Zen Pinball was that when we first started this, and I say we because there was other people looking at this with me, we couldn't get custom code running.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't possible. Like you try to run your own code on there. Like if I put Zen Pinball on there, I had no way to launch it, right? It wouldn't show up in the launcher. If I tried to launch it manually, it would just like go to a black screen or something. So it wasn't until we got lucky one day and got something running that was like, okay, you know what? V3 is possible. Let's actually do this and make something better. And bust out Photoshop that I haven't used since I was 16 and make some cool little interface.
It was just V3 when you're showing me, because I had there was a way to communicate with you at one point between V2 and V3. So I had started to quote unquote be able to test and hear some of the back end things that were going on, and still people thought it was me. You weren't going away. I was trying to find out all these other ways to enable the first versions of it, but this just opened up a whole new layer. So it's been less than a week since V3 has been out. I think it's really changed how people look at their pinball tables, the Zen tables for sure. But you didn't do this alone, and I think this is where I love to bring in our next surprise guest, because if you thought there was one of them, there's more. There's more. So there was not only Mystery Encoder, I for now termed him the Mystery Lab Rat, who was also one of the people that was responsible for helping out and make this come true. Mystery Lab Rat, aka Mystery Tester. How you doing, man?
Hey guys, I like to refer to myself as Mystery Encoder's emotional support engineer.
Tell us a little bit about kind of your involvement in this, just so that people know that it wasn't just like, yes, it was the labor of love and the idea for Mystery Encoder, but as you started linking yourself with smart people like yourself, I'm sure like the powers that be like just expanded, because you can now think tank with smart people. And so tell us about kind of how you guys have worked together.
Yeah, that really hits the nail on the head. Mystery Encoder is the guy that will be recompiling the Linux kernel at 3 a.m. I'm the guy that's trying to get other apps running on the machine. I want to push these things to the limits. I really hate the e-waste that comes out of these. People buy these machines and they gut them, throw a PC in there. I know it's cool, Colin, but I want to get as much as I can out of the original hardware.
Can y'all make it where, like, if I put in a code, it'll open up a Domino's pizza for me and like order a pizza, like a preset, like a pizza combo?
Well, we did just get networking working, so maybe.
Dude, now you're fucking talking, bro.
The internet, we'll talk, right? We'll make the Konami code in reverse open Domino's for you.
I got some ideas floating in my head with you two geniuses on this show right now. I'm like, wow.
I know the Konami code secret. So that was really more like the afterthought, because I mean V3 alone, if it was just the front end and just the 1080p enabled features, that would have been great. But I think the whole extra Zen store and legitimately purchasing tables to load on there, just like really like I think you were genius to put in a secret code, because people were obsessed with this for like 24 hours trying to figure out what it was. So talk about your process for that.
So I was surprised that people figured that out so quickly. I mean, part of the reason why it was put behind a secret code is because everybody thought that that's all this is ever going to be, is 3 tables and a launcher and so on. And I mean, the launcher changes actually came from feedback that you had given in your first showcase video, where you said, I have a lot of ideas, like, what is with all this open space down here? Why is it so ugly? It's just a little icon and this and that. Yeah. But I think at this point, now that we have Zen Pinball and we can have other things running, I think that the mod itself can rebrand itself and remove some of the more piracy enabling stuff, as in don't allow the download. I don't care about allowing the install. If you get it yourself, that's on you. It's not my deal, Sorry, John D.
Can you prevent it? Let me ask you this, man. So
okay,
can you prevent it?
That's a very interesting question, because the way that Arcade1Up created their updates, they could not have prevented people from deploying different updates on different machines. The way that this works, there is a file that's on the cabinet that identifies which machine it is, whether it's an attack from Mars or a Star Wars or whatever. So in theory, the application could have checked that config file and said, no, this is a attack from Mars. You're not allowed to install Star Wars here. You're not allowed to install this here. So if Arcade1Up had taken a different approach to installing the updates, so that's actually a funny history, reverse engineering this before they had released any updates.
But that didn't answer my question. No disrespect. Could you prevent it though with the tool that you create?
Yes.
So then why not create that prevention?
Could I now? No.
Because the
Genie's
Pandora's box is open, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Could I then?
Version 1 through 3.
Yes.
You can never put that cat back in the bag.
Got it.
So, But that being said, I mean, there was an update process in these tables that was supposed to check against that config file, and I'm guessing the update process was broken because of the way that they ended up releasing the updates. So it either didn't get QA'd before the tables went out, or they just couldn't get it working before they shipped this update, you know?
Now, is it theoretical that they could then, through a patch, go through with or without coordination or what have you, and then fix your tool and kind of disable the headaches of it? Or is it something where as long as they stay offline, you're good?
In one of the paste bins, there was something about them burning essentially the exploit involved. And what happened was, because they used the Phoenix Flash tool, and this is going to get a little bit technical, but the Phoenix Flash tool is a tool written by the people that developed the SoC itself that lives on the PCB. And the SoC is a system on chip. So a system on chip is essentially like a mini motherboard inside of a small chip, right? Like it has networking interfaces, serial interfaces, everything embedded inside this little chip.
Okay.
And the idea is these chips come from China, and not a lot of people know this, but China has rules and regulations around how devices work. The Chinese government has this. So
Sure.
I've worked for companies that have hardware there where the Chinese government wants the root passwords to your server kind of stuff.
Nothing surprises me. You could tell me that China has cameras that look up all of their citizens' assholes, and I would believe you. It's
So
It's
part
really
of that,
technical.
part of that comes down to the fact that there is a backdoor kind of bootloader embedded inside of that chip that is read-only. It is burned in the chip, and there's nothing that anybody can do to change that bootloader.
Okay.
That is how the additional bootloader gets loaded that allows the tool to operate against the storage on the device. So even if there was an update release, the tool would continue to work no matter what, is basically what I'm getting at. And even if there was an update release, people could use Phoenix tool and go back to the old firmwares that Arcade1Up releases, right? They can't lock that out at this point. Even if my tool didn't exist, they could just go take the Phoenix tool and reflash the old firmwares if they had copies of them.
Because of the hardware that's coming on the original motherboard that you're buying.
Well,
Yeah.
because of the hardware that's coming on it and the fact that they basically gave people a full system image and Phoenix tool.
All right, so we're getting kind of into like the what ifs of how we could prevent some of the piracy components that people are
hopefully-
arguing that this is, right?
Yeah, hopefully John D's sitting there with a notepad going, okay, don't buy chips from China.
I mean, dude, listen, man, that is, God bless America. I wish we made more of them here. You bring up a great point, man.
So what is the future for this? I mean, all right, did you want to end one? Go ahead.
Oh, no, I mean, the only other thing that I was going to lead into, because you asked about the secret menu thing, was there was somebody that most recently made a post on Facebook about some of the files being encrypted in there and potentially malicious and things like that. And I saw a few people arguing on it. And I just wanted to clarify that the reason why some of them are encrypted is because there are people that are data miners that like digging into files and looking at what they are, which is exactly what happened, right? And I have no problem with that whatsoever. The idea was just hiding the secret menu and hiding the surprise of Zen Pinball being installed because the files directly relate to it and talk about it inside of them.
All right, so we're going on an evolution journey because people are discovering, like the people that can speak the technical talk and do that, and decompiling and see what's inside of it. You've been raising a lot of questions about what is it and what's future possibility. You'll get people that are randomly already downloading it and then are spitting out I wish it could do this, or I wish it could do that, or it doesn't support me because I'm on a Mac. And I think one of your biggest drivers is making sure that this could get in the hands of so many people. So once again, this was the longest freaking rant I've ever read. It took me like literally 10 minutes to read your last version, but you made a dedicated version 3 OS X version. I can't even scroll through all this because it's super long, but you have the OS X versions of this now. So, I mean, your drive now is like not only just like, let's release it, but let's still make it easier for people. Let's make it easier for people with Macs to do this, and, not doing updates on features yet, but this was just a copy of V3 for Mac, right? There was no other features in this latest paste bin?
There was discussion of other features, but nothing else released to it except for the Mac version,
Right.
I like that. It's like this is the one thing that everyone hates about Fightcade, right? You got to be a mystery encoder to set up fucking Street Fighter 2 on Fightcade, and then half of the people on there, you got the internet that because it's like their little brother's riding a bike at the local village for electricity. So fuck that shit. Like I like your shit, bro. What I like is, can you make it so it's a simple like download, plug and go, whatever you want, and it's that simple?
I mean, that's what it is, right? You plug in a USB cord and click 2 buttons.
Like, but Kong had 30 minutes to explain it. Is it really?
No, but
just,
but if you don't have the newest version, Rev, if you haven't seen it, like the GUI is like literally it's an amazing like 3 clicks and that's it. Like there's no more PowerShell, there's no more typing in DOS or anything like that. It's just the time you took to even write a GUI for this, for those that were scared of doing versions 1 or 2. It just made it that much more accessible for exactly. Like you could literally plug in the PSB, turn on the GUI, and you could figure it out. What's that?
Did you just call me a monkey?
Didn't you call yourself a monkey?
Dude, why do I have the monkey in the top corner? What the fuck is up with that? Why do I?
I just want to use that excuse to call you names because we have that relationship.
No, the reality is the motivation there is just seeing the disappointment by people that weren't able to do it. I mean, that disappointment, we saw it even when the PowerShell stuff was out and Arcade1Up was releasing their updates. You had a set of users that were left out. It was like, I can do something about this, so why not?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it becomes a legitimate tool in the fact that people that weren't able to update their cabinets without losing high scores or even being on a Mac are now able to do that, even though the updates are gone. So thanks, Arcade1Up. But it sucked that there was this new functionality, and it was like, okay, I can do it, but I'm going to lose all my stuff. When there was a way to do it, and it's almost disappointing that Arcade1Up didn't make their own update tool instead of relying on something that was made by a manufacturer of the board.
Selfishly, I have to ask, have you looked at any of the Versus cabinets to see the possibilities of like, hey, if I own Marvel versus Capcom and X-Men versus Street Fighter, which holla at your boy, I fucking do, can I then take the coda off of X-Men and load it onto the Marvel cabinet since I own the fucking games? Like,
I think didn't Dakota Wins kind of do something like that recently?
So he can dude, that motherfucker does whatever he wants on that. Like he butt rapes that goddamn PCB like nobody.
Well, let's talk about the future. Yeah, so I mean, just along those same lines, like, have you looked at other like PCB mods with other Arcade1Up hardware? Because that's the real cool thing that we can do. Is it's not that you can plug a PC in, but what else have you thought about?
I'm really interested in the baby key right now. I really want my Pac-Man to run Galaga.
Yes. That's awesome.
Dude, the Paw Patrol would be legit, son. You can get a Paw Patrol.
Yeah, I definitely want a Paw Patrol as well. I think it would fit very well with the rest of my arcade area, Yeah.
He's joking,
but answering... Huh?
Sorry, I was going to say, he's joking, but if you saw our chats back and forth, there's projects lined up for days. I mean, it's just a wide open opportunity on all of this stuff, pinball and other cabinets, and it's just...
Ultimately, the goal will be to open the hardware, not promote piracy. I'll put it that way, right? So if there's something I look at, whether it's, I was talking to somebody about the Marvel cabinets and how some of the stuff that Code Always Wins is doing and some of the other people involved in that are having issues with. I think it's the second joystick when they're trying to run RetroArch or something like that. And I don't mind helping them reverse engineer that control system to enable, RetroArch or whatever, because ultimately I don't... As long as, so your question was if you could extract software off of one and run it on the other. That will never be the goal. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. Hey, I missed a super chat from Zenman Breno really fast. It says, people taking advantage of my tables, and I'm not even getting my royalties because his name is Zen, if you get it. Thanks a lot, F Mystery Encoder. Thanks for everything that you've done.
They're getting their profit now. People, from what I've seen, man, people have bought quite a bit of tables now.
Yeah, whoever's in charge of like the Zen Android library, and they're starting looking at their like just hey, what's our third quarter like in the next week, and they see this spike of like people buying hundreds of Android tables at one time.
You could probably even tie it into like each of your posts, right? So like as each post shit talk gets more gravity towards it, it draws in more people to download it. And I can imagine they'd be like by version 4, they're like, please put out a version 5, motherfucker. Please drop a version 5.
So I am curious, are tables more expensive on PC? Because I really haven't looked too much at Pinball FX on PC. I'll be honest, I'm not a major pinball fan. These are my first dive into virtual pinball besides playing Sorcerer's Lair on an Xbox once.
Mm-hmm. Nice. All right, so
that's why I needed to get Zen running. That was the...
Wasn't that your idea? Mr. Encoder's emotional support, like, tell us about the story of how Zen Pinball came to life.
Yeah, I mean, Mystery Encoder was very much focused on solving the issues of his hack and getting it working for everyone. And he's the type of guy that if someone says, I plugged my USB port in and it's not working, he will dive through logs and he'll be, going through Microsoft system documents to try to figure out what's going on with it. Whereas I was trying to say, all right, well, I have full access to this machine now. I own it. I have complete access to the system. What can I get running on it? Right. So while he's sending stuff like that over, I'm sending him pictures and videos like, hey, I got Zen up and running on this thing. Figured out how to get it installed. Figured out how to make the system accept it, and that kind of builds excitement amongst the both of us. So he goes, oh, you know what? I think I could get controls working on that thing. And the amount of work that went into just getting the buttons working, not even considering plunger and solenoids. Like people think that it's just we installed an APK and it's good to go, but that is the easy part of it.
Said that too. That's what's funny. Yesterday on UAD stream, John D had mentioned people think it's just that you install an APK and that's it. Like that they didn't have to write support for the DMD, that they didn't have to write all the support for solenoids and plunger and all this stuff. It's not easy. It's frustrating, man.
So all in, what's the development time per stage, if you will? What's the development time to get the tool initially created?
Which one? There's different.
How long did it take to make the hammer? Right? How long did the hammer take to create?
I don't remember, man. It was a few weeks of work just to get a custom kernel running on the PCB, and then some of the improvements that were made in V3 that a lot of people don't see in the background is like now the bootloader that loads that gives you access to the PCB is actually running a FTP server, which somebody pointed it out recently as well.
So then at what point you kick it over to your emotional support partner, and then he winds up picking up and going, and how long did that take?
That was like 6 or 7 months after I had already started and had been running on one table.
Okay.
So yeah, he caught me making some Facebook posts, and I'm like, "Hey guys, no one's looking into modding this thing. No one was posting about it." And I started making some posts, going, "Hey, look what I found! I found some of this stuff." And he messages me, just like jaw dropping, like, "Oh yeah, look what I did." And then
it's like kindred spirits when you connect. And
right.
It was like when you and John D first saw each other, Rev. You guys just went like, "Oh,
dude." I cannot discuss anything with Mr. D.
We know you keep him in your basement, Rev. I mean, you have his balls like, whoosh,
yeah, no,
he's like given. He's never supported any like official Arcade1Up tournament, and you have him giving away 3 cabs on your tournament on Sunday, which is crazy. But anyways, for folks that are just joining us, we have Mystery Encoder and Mystery Encoder's emotional support along with Rev5, and we're talking about the latest and greatest Arcade1Up Pinball hack mod. Would you still call it a hack at this point? Do you care that people have been calling it a hack? What would you prefer to call it?
Who cares, right? Like, it doesn't matter. Identify it as whatever you want.
It went from baller installer to pinner.
At the end of the day, hacker's gonna hack, man.
That's right.
Quoting John D here, but no. The reality is, ultimately, if I continue to do this kind of work on Arcade1Up products or other arcade products or anything else for that matter, in any industry, part of the reason to not condone piracy and part of the reason to not purposely enable it is to get a better perception of you own your hardware and you can do what you want with it, right? Like, we bought these tables for $500 to $800, and I think that it does enable the sale of more of them by being able to do these things. The piracy is unfortunate, but the reality is when I own hardware that's cool like this, I mean, I have a full build of a pinball table. I don't have to go spend $1,000 to $5,000 building a VPin table now. I've got solenoids in it, and I can make it run with other software and trigger this stuff. So it's like, at that point, why wouldn't I want this open? And it's the same concept with why people put pies in these arcades, right? Like,
they want more value out of it.
We're also missing a huge component here, which is the innovation drive. Like, the ability to do this then creates innovation, which in reality then focuses the efforts back on larger organizations to say, hey, if we're going to stay alive, we need to innovate. We need to evolve. We need to take what they're doing and make it better. And if they are smart, hey, shout out to these guys, dude. These guys are superhuman, intelligent type shit, man. I'm a monkey compared to these guys. Hire these motherfuckers and make them beat China. Come on, guys. Like, this is crazy.
Kev Gret? I've seen him mentioned on Reddit or something like that, and people are trying to convince him to go A1 instead of ALP, and I don't get it. There's some joke I'm
he
not
is
in
just
on.
a very active YouTube community member chatter, if you will, in the retro arcade game space. So Kev Gret, he's here, but maybe not the biggest fan of Arcade1Up. If you want to put that lightly.
So I would like to kind of take a shit on him for a second because of one of his latest Reddit posts saying that his ALP can still stream pinball effects.
Oh shit!
And
Here we
have
go.
you show that video that I showed you.
Damn.
All right, so
there's so much more, guys.
There's
Oh my
so much
God.
more. So we're getting into the the argument now of like, I could just put a PC in it, which I did, or I could play this on my Legends Pinball, but you still got to put on your own effing PC. I'm going back PC because my kids just came home, but you could put your own. This is running out the fucking stock hardware. Like that, and that's it. But if you do what Mystery Encoder did and sent me this video, check this.
Prepare yourself for the greatest pinball gaming experience of all time. It'll be better than the Iron Man table anyway.
Daddy, that actually hurts.
So what was it that we were just looking at? What was that?
So that is my PC streaming over the network to the stock Arcade1Up PCB. So over an OTG cable, you can now connect your computer once V4 comes out and stream pinball effects. And it will be extremely simple and easy to use, just like ALP, and pretty much compete with it in the same way.
So you can put your quarters on the glass easily.
He just made
Yep.
OTG for pinball. Like, in order to do this previously, what in my original mod video, I had to gut it. I had to take out the PCB. I had to put in my own encoder. I had to put like a converter for the LCD, and then just make it a 100% PC mod. This allows you to play your stock pinball, and he's OTGing into his PC on the Arcade1Up. So
yeah,
I mean,
that was also on a whim, by the way. The way these things come about is absolutely hilarious. Like you know, I bought a USB you know,
OTG is on the
Ethernet.
go gaming, right? That's kind of what OTG stands for, right? Like where you can...
No, OTG has some actual acronym related to USB, I think. Not
No, it's off the ground. It's when you hit the after the flying screen, you re-pop them up and you just re-combo them.
But
that's true.
So I mean, it is streaming, so people might be right about over the air. You know, it's not
OTA,
an over the air update, but usually OTA refers to over the air update when it comes to like Android updates. So I don't think that would be the right term. The technical details around this is that it would use AMD's Link software or NVIDIA's Game Stream software and allow you to stream through those and use your GPU for encoding. But I mean, the idea is like if you wanted to take a cheap $200, $400 Optiplex and put it below your pinball table and connect it with a USB cable, you can.
That's what I did.
Right? And so the idea is that the PCB will emulate a network interface, and then you'll have networking between the Optiplex and the pinball table together, and be able to stream games on it using pinball effects and stuff, right?
Yeah,
or
so I mean
or whatever you want.
That's what I was So here's another video of just the FX3 menu. I say OTG because in the Legends pinball world, OTG is their version of connecting a PC to the Legends pinball. So when they say OTG, they call it on-the-go gaming. So for folks that are familiar with the At Games Legends product, that's essentially what you're doing here. And you see your PC setup streaming through this. But so this is made possible not just with the stock hardware, you're also using something else, right? Like, at least a couple other parts, right?
In this scenario, there is a Ethernet adapter connected. In the actual release version, you will just use a USB cable to your computer.
Got it.
Because so the thing is, Android and Linux kernel in general support tethering, right? And essentially that's what the payload does. That's why you have to wait for a network to come up when you click option 1 and you wait for option 2. It's tethering. You are tethering your PCB to your computer and creating a network. In the same way, you can do that on Android, create a central network between your PC and the Android interface, and then you have networking to your PC, and on top of that, you can share the internet from your PC to the table, and connect to Zen's online leaderboards and stuff like that. Even
Is there a way to like stream it out using a dongle?
Did you just want to say dongle? Is that why you said that? Or?
I know.
Probably.
Don't judge. You get canceled in 2021.
We were trying to get
making
that
fun of
working just right before the show, trying to get the Wi-Fi dongle working, but didn't quite get it up in time.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
So there is another way to do it, which is a few people, including T-Dubs, leaked one of my videos. But a few people have seen that I've connected a Pi Zero to it and drove the Pi Zero using the PCB in order to do dynamic backglass as I was playing Zen Pinball. So the idea is like you can put a monitor. A few people, I know Kong's one of them, have put monitors instead of the backglass there. And the idea is that even in the stock tables, I plan to hook onto them and figure out what table you're playing and change the backglass using a monitor. That'll work through a Pi Zero connected to it, similar to the kit that John D talked about yesterday that they wanted to release to allow it to do more. This is kind of like that kit where you plug a Pi Zero in, and I want the Pi Zero to be able to do a few things.
Let's show them how it's done. So that's another monitor that you have, not just in the backglass, but just on the top for right now. And is that a changing backglass, a working backglass on the Zen Pinball app that you just wrote like 3 days ago?
Where it says Portal?
Yeah, so before that it said Sorcerer's Lair. If it replays it, you'll see it say Sorcerer's Lair because I was on Sorcerer's Lair prior to that. And then when I launch Portal, it goes Portal.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's a changing backglass with the stock stuff.
It's a proof of concept, right? It doesn't work well yet in terms of the fact that when you leave a table, it still shows the previous table there. But
We're
We
getting
also
too
whipped it up in like
technical
an hour.
Yeah, we're getting very technical for our average user.
Let me ask for the monkey. If I can throw a banana and smell my own shit here really quick. Is this something that you could hook up that maybe to like a VR headset and have like a virtual experience on this?
No, the PCB wouldn't be powerful enough to drive the display on most VR headsets.
Okay. What about streaming to like a cell phone?
Why would you want to? I don't.
Because there's nerds out there. You know they're going. How about can I play when I take a dump? Can you make it so I can play from my? I want to play while I'm taking a shit.
They would just download the Android real versions at that point, which they can, right?
So where we're going with that though is the Pi Zero image I plan to offer networking to the PCB through it, so that you don't have to worry about wireless, because you can connect the Pi Zero to wireless, right? So if the Pi Zero provides the internet to your PCB, then you can get your pinball table online using the Pi Zero, as well as gaining backglass, as well as gaining other things like, I don't know, if I reverse engineered how the high score system works, we could make a custom leaderboard on a website and make it to where that shows on the backglass when you start your table before you go into anything.
Yo,
yeah, I know.
That is fucking legit.
Some of the ideas.
The idea
So
list
many ideas.
is a mile long, guys. It's insane. It's almost like there's just too much, and we got to focus down and find what is most important to work on. And I think some of the solenoid issues with Zen, things like that are going to be really important to get out first. Potentially a hot fix for some people that are filling up their PCB. So
and give people just a hot second take on how much work it took to get the stock solenoids and plunger to work with a separate program it wasn't designed for. People thought it was just plug and play, and I know that people are messing with the
Why
CPU.
is John D saying shut up over and over again?
I think he's trying to call
he's calling out people.
He's calling out me. He's calling out me.
No, but seriously, John D's in here right now. So I in the latest write-up, I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but I actually gave him props for coming out and talking about some of the things they did, as well as kind of corrected him on some points about 1080p at 60 FPS and that it wasn't possible. But to his point and to something that I said was I told him to steal the Pi Zero idea, do it, because it's possible. They can release another firmware update, they can connect it to a similar kit, it doesn't have to be a Pi Zero, and give people online leaderboards and stuff in a legitimate way, officially endorsed and sold by them.
So I'm not gonna lie, like let's go future state of put your quarters on the glass. I would love to get away from the leaderboards in the fighting games because it's a bullshit leaderboard. Like it is. It doesn't allow for true leaderboards. You don't understand where people are, and people have false accounts. I would love the idea of like a true league. Now you have operations like Matcherino that do that. Are there pinball ones that already do that, like Matcherino for pinball?
I have no idea. I'm not part of the pinball community, so I'm going to defer to Kong.
Come on, Kong. You're on the fucking glass. What's the answer?
I don't know, but I'm catching up with chat, so I missed everything you're saying because you're taking over my show, Rev. What the hell, man?
I'm sorry.
I
Put
think
that
he
mask
honestly
back
asked
on.
if there was some kind of already existing leaderboard for pinball, maybe where people contribute their own
There
scores to
is
or
not
something.
on the Arcade1Up one, but there is leaderboards for pinball on the Legends platform. So for that
Okay.
system, there's been some, and that's what I mean. Streaming FX3 to this allows you to play the official tournaments now, and so I think that's a missing component for this shared experience to do that shared gameplay. So I mean, if you get the OTA with the PC streaming FX3, that's already golden. That's already and I don't know how you would I saw that you have a lot of features lists, but the working DMD, like truly DMD, right? Because I know that's just going to be a mirrored screen. I know that's top, right? So talk about the features. I think that's the one that people want the most.
The priority right now is definitely to fix the solenoids and stuff because they're crashing in certain games, and
Yes.
that's a hack job. That was a proof of concept. I honestly implemented that plunger support within the 2 days before it released. But going into the DMD, since you asked, I was looking at that last night. Actually, I was up till like 5 a.m. looking at this stuff and got 4 hours of sleep yesterday. So there's two ideas. One is to actually, so the non-technical easy way to explain it is that there is a setting in Zen Pinball that allows you to either display or not display the DMD. And what that means is it either gets rendered or not rendered. And by figuring out where the code is that makes that happen, you can figure out what the code is that actually renders it and potentially grab the texture that displays on the screen and put the actual texture on the other screen without having the source code, essentially. So the idea is there is the potential for actually supporting the DMD in its entirety without mirroring the screen, if that makes sense.
I want to say yes because you got technical again, but
well, there's no support
I
for
tried
it
to
built
simplify
in.
as much as possible. So there's two options here. One is that we mirror that portion of the screen, right? We crop that portion of the screen and be like
and just make it the DMD
casting and cast stuff there. The other one is we actually grab the code where the game's rendering it and render it there. Is what I'm getting at.
Got it. Okay, that's simple enough. So DMD, full DMD is potentially being worked on for folks that have asked for that. Be like, hey,
well,
that like I wish to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was up till 5 a.m. messing with it, but
I know and it surprises me how fast you get some of this stuff going. Because when you said plunger support, I remember you showing me that like 2 days before it was released, and then you're like, here you go, it's ready to go. And I'm like, really?
Yeah,
But
I'm still disappointed, and it's not great, but.
It's still crazy. You brought a lot of value to these lowly Arcade1Up pinballs machines. But anyways, it's we've been talking for about an hour. I want to get into some of the questions about people talking about like the Williams pack or like Pinball Arcade or Zachariah. Like talk about kind of those tables and what some of the challenges are for adding those types of tables to this, because I know we're limited on space now as well.
Yeah, so we do have an additional 1.4 gigabytes of space that we can potentially get access to. There's some theories on how to do it. And with that comes the ability to, load those other table packs. So it's going to be one thing or the other, right? If we can't get access to that space, it comes down to you're either going to run Zen Pinball or you're going to run Zachariah tables or however you say it, or Zachariah, I think it is. Or you're going to run Williams tables or something like that. The problem that I have with the Williams tables, and you've seen this too,
microtransaction app.
The microtransaction craziness in there. So if I do it, I'm not saying I probably will. I'm not going to guarantee or promise that. But I would rather create a custom menu for its front end and figure out how it loads tables and just create our own table loading interface essentially for it, so that we don't have to deal with all the microtransaction stuff. However, people will still have to buy those tables in order to get access to them.
Yes, that makes complete sense. But I mean, you're pretty much writing a new interface at that point then if you're going to go that route, no?
I mean, once you know where the code is that tells the game engine, hey, go load this table file, it's basically just writing your own code that tells the game engine to do that.
Legit
I know I
stuff.
oversimplify, but like I'm trying to not get into technical details because I've done that several times. Like,
I appreciate that. I just think it's amazing that you have the ability to do that. Like, I think you're doing stuff that like we're dreaming of. Like, hey, is it possible? Like RevV is just asking these questions. Like, is it possible to do this? But like what you did with the Zen pinball, for example, was that's just the real stock Zen pinball, and we allowed that to interface. But you're talking about taking that and then tweaking it to make it run like you're actually rewriting it. So that's
why not,
really
right?
freaking
Like,
awesome.
The problem is
I was just gonna say, like, but this time you could put in place the stopgap measure that would prevent people from illegally or unethically acquiring other software that they may not have.
Yeah, so what I had said was that the version 4 will probably disable the ability to download stuff if people get them on their own. It's not going to stop them from installing it, but it won't provide it to them.
I see. All right, so it's an hour and 5 minutes in. What other things do you want to talk about, Mr. Encoder? Any other final thoughts you want to mention to the community that's been here? I can't believe we have 180 people watching, listening to you.
That's a lot. Yeah, the only other thing is fuck you. No. So the next thing definitely on the plate after fixing solenoids and looking at EMD is getting arcade pinball working, because there are some tables there that I'm personally interested in.
Ooh, nice. There's an Android version of that already?
Yeah, arcade pinball. Is it pinball arcade or arcade pinball? I don't know. I get it mixed up.
I have to look too. I haven't played too much with the Android versions, but what are some of the tables that you're most looking for? Like, what are the ones that you would like to play? Because I think I mentioned this to you. Sorry, just before a second. Like, as a modder, somebody that tinkers and does this has, I think, more joy in the tinkering than the playing. But if you were to play like yourself because you wanted to play these tables, what are your most favorite desired things that you want to add there because you want to play them?
I don't know. Adam's Family sounds cool. I've never played any of these tables in real life either. You know, I've touched real pinball tables a few times. Adam's Family sounds cool. Terminator sounds cool. And for me, it's also that, right? Like I have kids myself. You heard them in that video. You heard one of them in that video, and it's a lot of this is for them to get to experience some of this too, right? They get to play these tables as well. It's not just for me. They get to play this stuff on an essentially what is a real pinball table to them versus sitting in front of a game console and pushing controller buttons.
Nice. Yeah, and it's about that shared experience. So I'm glad that you're getting into it. A lot of people are saying that there's a big pinball boom, like real pinball machines, but I think virtual pinball has been a gateway for many people to rediscover a love for pinball, including myself. I hadn't touched I was a casual pinball player for the most part, but virtual pinball really got a lot of people introduced to it, and you're opening the door again for like this next wave of people to explore more than just what was on the table. So kudos to you. Big FUs to you. Crazy work that you've been doing. Is there going to be a version 4?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what was said already. There's things where I said this in the last write-up for the OSX edition, that if people continue to pirate en masse or publicly and stuff like that, to the point where people like John D or Zen or other people that I've heard of inside the Arcade1Up organization take notice, it's not going to be cool for any of us. I know you've already been asked to take one of your videos down in relation to this stuff, right? And we want this thing to be seen as positive, and pirating stuff doesn't allow that to happen.
Right. Absolutely.
I would say, honestly, though, the best thing to do is put stopgap measures in place if you can, my friend. That would give you the corporate backing to say, hey, this guy's doing things to make sure that it's clean. And I think if you have the ability to, from someone who works for a large corporation, I would recommend it, man, because you'd be favorably viewed by them.
What is John D's deal? Is he trolling in chat or what? Like I've seen him say so much stuff so often. Like
he's tracking,
telling people to shut up and all this stuff. And
he's having a good conversation with folks in the chat. I think one of the good things about John D being back in the community is now the community has access. His fans and his haters have been here blowing him up, and he's been responding in full force. So I don't think it has to do with you. But,
I love the new John D. I love the new John D. Keep it coming.
I didn't experience
awesome.
the old John D. So full disclosure is that I'm also new to the home arcade community in general, right? Like I asked you the other day who Rev was because he's sitting with John.
I'm new
Like,
too.
wait a
I'm
second.
new too, bro. Believe me. I got
Yeah, I'm
100
his introduction to
affiliated
YouTubers.
with Arcade1Up in some way, and then you have him on here, and it's even more like, okay, this dude was just talking to John D, and now you want me to talk to him in the same stream, like.
I swear to God, bro, I have 100 subscribers. Don't even sweat it. But shout out, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Hector. He's spot on. These dudes' talent is out there, man. The talent like this is out there. These guys deserve to get paid every penny they're worth. Please do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been fun following this journey. I think for many of us that were just, it was just the excitement and thrill of doing it more than playing. Like I've had more fun, obviously, messing with the GUI and making content about this than actually playing. So I thank you for that, including us in this journey with you. So as long as you want to keep riding this journey of mysterious encoding, and that's funny that I gave you that name, by the way. That was a mistake.
Yeah, that wasn't even, that wasn't, I didn't choose that name at all. It was definitely from you, which is why you got called out in the second one.
Yeah, it's fun. I feel a kindred big fu because and people was funny enough was asking like why I'm so mad at you because I keep saying you're an asshole, but you said it first. So
oh yeah, no, of course. And there was somebody that commented on your last video like, why are you calling it an asshole? He shouted you out or something like that. This, that, da, da, da. And it's like, do you not understand that he's not being serious? Like that's just the game that's being played.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So another super chat from Michael that says, thanks to Mystery Encoder and his team, any future supports on the kit to add Backglass feature. You might have missed it a little bit earlier, Michael, but he did have a Backglass monitor that would be running with the Pi Zero and potentially could work. So version 4, 3.5 something. It's going to be another 3-4 weeks. Can you give us a timeline, or is that too iffy?
I don't know about timeline, definitely, because there's things that need to be worked out. Like, for instance, that PC streaming was a very manual thing currently. So it's more of a proof of concept than anything. And then other things like, the solenoid stuff. And then there's a lot of people that now can't run Zen Pinball. And
yeah,
the
there was
problem
an
with
error
that
for people.
yeah, the problem with them not being able to run Zen Pinball comes down to there being an issue with some of the software that allows the solenoids and stuff to work.
Okay. So that's priority.
Yeah, sorry, one of my kids walked in my office. And so the thing is that with the current version, I want to release a hotfix, and that hotfix will probably be where those download buttons get disabled. And there was actually somebody that sent me messages that they had with someone else where this guy was like, oh, he's a hypocrite because he's allowing downloads of the other 20 tables, so therefore me pirating isn't a problem, and fuck Zen, I don't care about them, and this and that. And it's like, where's this attitude coming from? Like, it's not that anybody asked you to do something crazy. People just told you not to... it didn't even tell. I didn't tell anybody not to do anything. I said, just don't do it publicly. Don't piss off the licensors that John D just mentioned yesterday. That's what it comes down to, because that just like he said yesterday, those are the people that care and the people that are going to react. Marvel is owned by Disney. Star Wars is owned by Disney. Williams isn't going to be happy about it. And those are the people that own that IP that you're putting on, the cabinet that it wasn't approved for. So if you're publicly doing that stuff, they're not going to be very happy about it, and that's part of the problem.
No, that's a good public disclaimer about the work that we're doing. That again, we want to encourage the purchasing of the tables and things. And so I'm excited for ways that you can continue to evolve that. And knowing that you're watching the community, I imagine like Monsters Inc. and like you're always watching everybody and waiting to call them out with their next fuck you.
No, I definitely watch the community like a hawk. And emotional support guy over there is gotten my messages about me being pissed off about things.
When the never-ending screenshots at 3 a.m. Did you see what this guy says? In the next version, I'm gonna do this just to mess with them. All the ALP people. The whole reason why streaming came about is a bunch of people saying, well, my ALP can do this. So he said, well, yeah, now my Arcade1Up can do it too. So.
You got to get that motivation from somewhere, right?
It was very much a stab back at those people going like, oh, well, my ALP's still better. And it's like, well, okay, now I have both, that PC streaming and solenoid. So And that's the other thing about the PC streaming is I want to modify DOF output because it's open source. So DOF output, for those that don't know, is what DOF Link talks to in order to trigger physical solenoids in your pin cab. Yeah,
that's right.
So if we can modify DOF output to talk over the network to the PCB, we can make it to where DOF Links connects your pinball effects on your PC while you're streaming and still triggers the solenoids for your PC pinball effects.
So fucking legit, like
with the DOF Links configurations.
My God, like getting the stock. That's why people were asking me, like, as a person who has modded both his Arcade1Up and his Legends Pinball, people ask me all the time, like, which one did you prefer to mod? Which one was easier? And I keep saying for all the people that are apologists for like Legends Pinball that while yes, it can be easier to add the PC into that and just play it. The fact that it doesn't have solenoids and things, I had to mod it really hard to get it to where I want it to be. In the Arcade1Up, it's so easy to drop a 22-inch monitor to that Backglass and replace it. It's so easy to rewire the stock solenoids.
Right? Like,
the hardware in this, besides the 24-inch screen, I think that's the biggest downside is the size of the screen. Besides that, the full package of the art, the buttons, the solenoids can be repurposed so easily as addition to the ALP that I think there's benefits and pros and cons to both of them. But you're literally opening up the door to like get the Arcade1Up modding community that wants to do this kind of at par with that, like, oh, Legends can be as easy as Cake is too. So I think that's amazing that you did that.
I don't want to take this thing I spent $500 for and well, I spent, I was one of the original buyers of this stuff, so I didn't spend $800, but let's say I spent $800 even, and have to gut it just to put a computer in it to make it do more. That's just
what I did.
I know, but like if you think about it, you just spent what that computer at minimum is $500 including graphics card.
Sure.
Right. So you're already in the $1,000 range, or if you paid $800, $1,200 to $1,400, to do something you should have already been able to do because the hardware is there for you to do it. Whether the graphics are as good or whatever, I don't care, man. It's still pinball. I like playing it. Like
the purists will care. The purists will care. Man, pinball purists are like some of the craziest efforts in the entire community.
Put a 4K screen in it and go put a computer in it, right? Like
this
isn't for those people. If those people want that, go do what Rev did and buy a real one.
That's right.
If you want to plug it into your computer and click a few buttons and get some more tables and have fun with your pinball and play more stuff, like I was honestly disappointed that we didn't get Deadpool in that Marvel release. Like that's a big table. That's a big like IP for Marvel. And if you didn't do your research when buying the table, you don't know what you're getting on it. You just know it's Marvel.
Can I ask what Deadpool was that? That wasn't Stern.
That was FX3. It's an FX3 table.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So people are asking, so Ken Prosper is like, do you have any Legends pinball products or ad games products?
No.
Is this something that you have interest in modding on that side of the fence?
I mean, aren't those already kind of open? Like this, you can plug
an
HDMI in and do whatever you want, sort of. So
pretty much, you can run coin-ups. Yep.
Yeah, there's not as much like challenge involved, I guess. That's honestly a major part of the driving factor here is, can I do it? And the answer to that 90% of the time is going to be yeah. It's just a matter of like I mean, so emotional support guy over there has heard me come up with really crazy ideas. Like the dynamic backglass. I told you about it the day I ordered the Pi, right?
Yeah.
It showed up and 2 hours later I had dynamic backglass working.
That was quick. Like, you were so fast. Like wow. So I think that's really cool.
I have this idea. It's kind of a crazy idea. I wonder if I can do it. I'm gonna do it. Like why not? So I went and bought a Pi Zero and hooked it up and did it. And emotional support guy over there has heard me come up with some whack-a-many crazy ideas, I think, over time.
Is touchscreen possible?
Huh?
Is touchscreen possible?
I mean, if you put a touchscreen in it, you could probably already use it.
Kong, your cats would be entertained for the rest of their life.
Oh, jeez.
Somebody has asked about the Infinity Game Table, which does have some sort of Android backend. Is that something you've ever thought about?
I have considered it. John D is going to say fuck you in the chat right now.
You would make a lot of people happy if you did. In fact, one of the guys.
What is the gain you get from that? The games that are on there have to be specifically designed for it in order to be like.
That's true.
A game table.
There's a guy that I interviewed about a month ago named Veepster that made his own Infinity Game Table using kind of his own overlay system. And then when he was running BlueStacks, it was a lot of Android versions of those same like home tables, right? So like that's the the whole thing. If you can run the Android interface on there, you can open up all the other board game versions that are on Android already there. So I think that's what could be done. It's not optimized though, because that table is meant for you sitting around it, and regular Android is made for you taking turns like on a phone or a tablet or something. Right?
Yeah, and so it's kind of what I'm getting at.
Is it worth it?
Like on normal Android, isn't it like, oh, you look away from the screen so the other people don't see it? The whole idea
Exactly. Yeah. It's not going to be that around.
Is to stand around it. I mean, props to A1Up because that's a cool product to me. I really like it considering I do have family and kids. But
that's true.
You know, I just don't see the desire to go after it to run other things.
It's not enough of a challenge for the mystery encoder. So somebody throw out a crazy challenge for you.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying that I don't see any real benefit to running other things on it. Like if I run RetroArch on it and I plug a USB Xbox 360 or Xbox One controller and I'm gonna play, you know, a NES game on it, like that's cool, but it doesn't improve the product in any way to me. Like it doesn't, you know. With this is a unique scenario that we have here with these pinball tables because they're, you know, other arcade machines you can rip it out, just put a pie in it, and you get the same advantage. Here. If I rip this out and put a pie in it, I have to get an encoder, I have to do all this other stuff, and I may not have solenoids working. I have to find a way to get an encoder for that, like the SAN stuff that you were doing, and then you have to figure out how to get DOF links working. And if you put just a pie and not a computer, there's no DOF links for a pie.
There's not. There's a lot of PC configurations that I have to do. In fact, it's one of the reasons why I didn't do a ton of tutorials on my pinball modding is because it's very, very niche. Every video that you've ever seen about doing PC pinball, virtual pinball, is like 2 hours long. You're watching a Terry Red video, which is awesome, by the way. I love Terry Red and those guys. But it's it's like a Bible of PC pinball that you can do, and you've made it simple for the masses. So I think you're doing genius work, which is amazing.
I'll admit that I want visual pinball to run on there if it's by the computer on the PCB. I don't know. There's a guy that ported visual pinball to a web browser, which means it's running an OpenGL, which means there's a possibility that you might be able to port it to Android.
You're gonna get VPX running.
I didn't say that. I said it's one of the ideas in the wheelhouse of ask a emotional support guy over there how many links I sent him to different things for visual pinball and how many times it's been ported to, like, I was like, oh dude, look, they're trying to port it to Linux, they're trying to port it to this, they're trying to port it to that. I'm gonna port it to Android. Like let's see if the PCB can do it. Because you know the reality is the CPU in here is actually the exact same CPU that you find in a Raspberry Pi 3 with a better GPU. So anything, put it this way, anything that you can do on a Raspberry Pi 3 power-wise, you can do here.
Nice. That's a good barometer for people that are familiar with the Pi 3 and its capabilities. So that makes sense for sure. So yeah, we're not. But I mean, once you're streaming from your pinball, though, through that, like, I mean, through PC, right? Essentially, you can do anything at that point, right? It's just streaming through it. But,
I mean, you're running it through your PC, though, so that's a Kong solution, not a mystery encoder solution.
That's true. All right. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out for an hour and 22 minutes talking the shit with Mystery Encoder. I don't know if we'll do this again. I don't know if the stream will be up tomorrow if John D finds me and says, well, Rev has him in his basement, so it's okay. I think we're going to be okay with there. But I think it's been fun covering the topic of the Arcade1Up pinball hack. It's been a pleasure being able to bring this to the community, to the masses, to be one of your top, a-hole YouTubers bringing this to light. I've had as much fun sharing and living this as you have coding it. So I'm going to just do a quick round of horn really quickly. Mystery Encoder's emotional support. Any final thoughts and things you want to mention?
Yeah, just two things, or actually three things. One, I'm a huge fan, so being on your stream is great.
Cool.
Your Star Wars mod is really what got me into the community. So really, indirectly, you're responsible for Zen on here. But
cool.
I also want to say that watching the community get really excited about this from behind the scenes, no one's taking credit for it. There's no public person for it. It has just been incredible watching people get so excited about this, and that's been the best part about it. Staying up all day, missing work meetings, looking at the Facebook pages for this. But and kind of the third thing is we do have a channel in MCAP's Discord for baller help. People, if you are having issues with it, that's probably the best place you can go because we can stay anonymous there and actually help you. So, if you hop in MCAP's Discord, you'll see a channel there for A1 Baller Help. and Mystery Encoder is in there helping people out with any issues you're having. So
Sounds
definitely
good.
hop in there.
I love how you did that. Even though in your first couple of paste spins, you're like, fuck you, there's no support for this. Don't ask anybody. And then you're supporting everybody, like adding log files and shit. So
yeah,
you're such a hypocrite. No, I was kidding.
No, man, I'm bipolar. I'll admit to that. I did get disappointed though when I saw that, it wasn't working for certain people, and I know that you were like, dude, you were helping so many people fix the smallest amount of issues. Like it's 3% of the community not able to do this, and you're sitting there helping all of them individually. But
you were doing a lot.
It's something that even Nostalgia said, where that he goes, somebody's going to be proud of their code. That was the one reason why people speculated that this was related to A1UP, was because their updates dropped and 24 hours later this dropped, right? V1 of this drops.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, a lot of V1 was actually coded the day that it dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Because prior to that, it was like, I have this batch file that does this thing versus like this PowerShell file that does all of this stuff with a nice menu and stuff.
I'll drop a link to the Discord, by the way, afterwards. MCAP, if you're watching in the future, you might get flooded with additional people, but or maybe you might want to start your own Discord. Like, sorry, would you be thinking about starting your own Discord, or are you okay where it's at right now?
Before, I mean, it's like
you're gonna be in and out anyways, right? Isn't that the goal?
Yeah, it's like emotional support. I just said I don't want to take credit for this. The whole reason I'm even doing the interview is just to tell people what's coming. I don't even like the fact that there's a person named behind this in terms of like somebody that's getting credit for it or whatever. It's all about supporting the community, doing more with your pinball table, and helping each other as a community. I mean, I've seen people upload solenoid configs and act as a community. So, that's what it's
this hack was brought to you by nobody. Let's go back to the beginning.
That's what it
and
said.
Just delete the stream.
It did
exactly
what it said, right? And playing into the mystery coder persona was just for the fun of it and the entertainment of it, and I think people enjoyed. I've enjoyed it, and that's all that is.
So that's what you guys got to know. This is nobody, okay? just so that you don't do it, and this is nobody's emotional support. So just in case you heard from who should be taking credit for this, it's actually these guys right here. Nobody and nobody's emotional support. Thank you guys so much. Rev, any last thoughts? And then I'm gonna have Mystery Encoder say one last thing. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. No, thank you, Kong. Shout out to the OG of the UC. You know who you are, my man. Appreciate you. This Friday night, put your quarters on the glass on 10 p.m. Eastern. And then, of course, this Sunday at noon Eastern, Marvel Superheroes Tournament. Please be there. Like, share, subscribe. Kong, get this guy. Are you at 1,000 likes? Are you at 1,000 subscriptions yet, Kong?
Something like that. Yeah.
All right, let's get this guy up to 1,000. Come on, get this like, share, subscribe, Kong. Come on.
Thanks, man. Nobody, Mystery Encoder, whatever you want to call yourself. Any final words to the community?
Yeah. So hotfix E3.1 will be coming out. Like I told Rev, we'll disable the download buttons. So if you didn't get the other tables, find them yourself. And the things that I want to try to fix in that are the solenoids that are crashing, and the fact that people aren't able to launch Zen Pinball because there's an error that's filling up people's PCs. And I might put total size and free space in the GUI so that you can see how much you've used, because that's a big problem for people.
Cool. So it's coming. More stuff is coming, and hopefully you guys can find this all around, because I won't be sharing links to the files, but it's around. Check the Discord, check social media. It's all over the place. Join Facebook groups, probably be your best place to get some of this stuff. I will just say, if you guys are still looking and cannot find this over the last week or so, you won't get it from this direct video. But I appreciate everybody here. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful Thursday night. I'll see you Sunday, at the Put Your Quarters on the Glass Fighters Evil tournament. We're going to get on Marvel Superheroes. It'll be fun. Until then, I'm going to be playing my pinball machine with everything that these guys have done so much. Hang out backstage for a minute, guys. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. See you later.
Thank you, John D.
That's true. We didn't get to say our round of FUs to everybody. Did you want to give any big FUs to folks? I mean, Retro Lizard, your favorite guy here. Give your Retro Lizard your biggest FU right now.
Are we on right now?
Are we live?
We're back.
We're still live.
Oh yeah. Fuck you, John D. Fuck you, Endless One Up. Fuck you, Retro Lizard. Fuck Theo Deacon for reals. Fuck Bobby Doo. This mod is clean like a mother. To die for.
There it is.
Good
I
old
know that was
friends.
gonna make your day. People, and your voice actually sounds like Retro Lizard's real voice, actually.
Oh,
But
okay, that's
yeah.
interesting. Maybe I am Retro Lizard and I'm typing in
you
chat
could be
thinking about
Retro
myself.
Lizard. All right, but big FUs all around. Big FU. This is the biggest
Yeah.
F bombs I've ever said. All right, see you later. Bye.